Is a democracy, such as we know it, the last improvement possible in government? Is it not possible to take a step further towards recognizing and organizing the rights of man? There will never be a really free and enlightened state until the state comes to recognize the individual as a higher and independent power from which all its own power is and authority are derived, and treats him accordingly. I please myself with imagining a state, at least, which can afford to be just to all men, and to treat the individual with respect as a neighbor, which even would not think it inconsistent with his own repose if a few were to live aloof from it, not meddling with it, nor embraced by it, who fulfilled the duties of neighbors and fellow men. A state which bore this kind of fruit and suffered it to drop off as fast as it ripened would prepare the way for a still more perfect and glorious state, which I have imagined, but have not yet anywhere seen. Henry David Thoreau, from On Civil Disobedience, 1849. Rolling wheel, out of control or going the right way? One important aspect of any equation is your own decision about whether it is useful, and if the problem it purports to address is important to you at all. The aim of this equation expressed in this system is essentially to encourage readers to perhaps fill in any gaps that may exist in their thought process, that their own real life may have prevented connecting numerous problems around the world, nationally, and even in your own life, to a common source of all these problems. All of these problems are rooted in deficits in individual human beings' perceptions of objects, including money, government, education, and responsibility. Archaic structures of government are based on errors concerning the benefits of collective actions, based on traditional democratic principles. Democracy has plainly proven itself to be a clumsy wolf in sheep's clothing. Perhaps once it was the very best human beings could manage to govern themselves, even while always clearly acknowledging its shortcomings. Today, democracy has become toxic, and even so, in fact, to wealthy persons who themselves attempt to purchase political power and judicial decisions. In this analysis, the decisions handed down so far by the President, Chief Justice John Roberts-led Supreme Court of the United States have so aggravated the disparity between rich and poor that these may be termed as criminal by their apparent brazen redistribution of wealth and thus political influence to an increasingly narrow cohort of corporate interests and wealthy individuals, whose interests are plainly regarded as taking precedence over those of less privileged persons. The legislature is not less culpable in this drastic transfer of wealth over the past decades. The polarization of interest by the two dominant political cell groups, aggravated by the advent of the 24-hour news cycle that leads persons with little time to attempt to even imperfectly understand all of the important issues that affect them. Most consume one-sided newscasts as if they were a brand of beer, always reinforcing static perceptions, because no opposing perspectives ever even come into their notice. Again, these interpretations of legislators and news media, corporate and wealthy interests act to divide and conquer the population who are oppressed by deficits both of money and of time, and have little ability to know or research the information they've consumed reported to them by various media sources. As for the executive function of government, there is little of substance that it can accomplish effectively in light of the stubborn gridlock that has ground governance into a mere giveaway to the privileged persons who are contributors to the public office holders. This system's conclusions are arrived at by aggregating this artist's lifetime observation of and analysis of national events. No assertion is made here of any ultimate truth is established in these observations. However, there is a flat assertion that they cannot be shown to be in error. We seem to be today at the cusp of real change in our society by technological advances in communications and present availability of access to data at affordable costs make changes not just possible, but certain. However, it is not our phones and better computers that make it all inevitable. It is only the intent and self-education of individual persons that in the end will prevail.